everybody, it's me, Tokkuri Yashi, and we are back for this month's clan battle, February 2025. Remember, this clan battle has had the damage threshold increased. Our elemental boosts have also been buffed, so we're expecting some big numbers this month. Let's jump into it then. We're going to be having a look at the Worry Chef's Google Docs. There is, of course, also the Akarumi website if you want to have a look at that. Both will be linked in the description. Thanks to the guys that have put all these together, it is certainly helpful. So, first boss we are taking on this month. Guess who's back? Back again. Wyvern's back. No really need to tell a friend there. We have got the Wyvern. Now, this is a bit of a wrapping theme clown battle. You'll see as we go along. Wyvern then, week 2, fire and water. So what teams have we got for the Wyvern? Let's have a look here. This is some of the automatic teams. Looks like the most damaging one we have at the moment here. 225 million. 225 million? From an automatic team, yes, the numbers have gone up. Mostly a fire physical team. They've got Astral Hori with a unique equipment. Coming in very useful here. But we've also got the Wincho and Wakana off element. There is a couple of full water physical teams here. Also doing incredible amounts of damage on here. If you could build these teams, Winter Cherry again looking like a top clown battle character. Few fire magical teams, not as much damage as the physical variation there, but if you have to go with that option, then it is available. And then a few more teams down here. There are several options here, with the damage getting less and less and less. So let's have a quick look at some of the simple timelines. As you can see here, 225 million. If we go over here, simple timeline, exact same team, 293 million. These timelines look quite as difficult as they were last month. Also an increase of damage here for the water physical teams, if you can build a couple of these here. So just quickly, timeline summary for the Wyvern. 302 million damage. That must be a more complicated timeline there with that team, but is this Wakana Winter Cheru on the fire physical team? Looks like we're doing the most damage here against Wyvern, averaging up to over 300 million. So let's jump in then to the Wyvern in game, and we'll see how I can do with one of these teams. So here we are with Wyvern then. So let's jump in with this team here, which was the highest damaging automatic team that we had. We have to unset Yori there, and let's see how this does. Okay, so I will mention that all of the timelines teams that we have on this spreadsheet are calculated with characters still at rank 35.6. If you have ranked your characters up to 36.3, don't worry about it too much. Hopefully it will all still work pretty well. Do the best that you can. Now we've got a Yori here at the front, the Astral one. Remember, she's just got a unique equipment, so remember to put it on her if you haven't done. Mine's only at level 30. Again, if it was ranked up a little bit more, that would give her a bit more attack. So maybe the damage numbers would be a little bit higher. 225 million is claimed that this team can get, just full automatic like this. If we were to run the timeline on it, 293 million. That is a lot of damage. 30 seconds left, and we still look like we have a bit of a way to go. So maybe we need to have a bit of a whaled tree to get that kind of top damage out of this team. It's interesting to see Wakana here, showing that she is a very valuable character. A little hedgehog. Is it an echidna? If we call it an echidna, will we get confused? Doing a lot of good. They're probably keeping Yori alive. It's not very common that we would see this Astral Yori tanking for a team, but this team looks like it is working okay, and maybe slightly disappointing there. We didn't even get to 200 million, 190 million. It's a higher number, but it's not quite what was claimed on the sheet there. You see, obviously doing the most damage. Winter not too far behind in second place. So let's go then and look on to our second boss. So we'll move over then to our second boss this month, DJ Demi Khalid. I told you it was a rapper theme. So Demi Khalid, week 2 fire and 2 wind. So set and forget teams for this second boss. Here we go. Top team here, 216 million damage. That is, again, damage numbers are definitely up. Wakana featuring a gain. If you can build this team Nefinera in there with the rest of these wind physical characters. A bit of a fire off. Yes, it is weak to fire. This is where the magical fire team might be more useful than against the Wyvern. Worm, Lind, Equus Lariel, Halloween Kyoka in there with this team here, 212 million damage, and then a bit of a variation, a few more teams, damage numbers getting a little bit lower. If you can't build them top teams, then maybe one of these teams down here will be able to do you well. So let's look at some simple timelines then for DJ Demi Khalid. 231 million up to here for this team here. Definitely looks like the best. Again, not the most complicated timeline. That's a very simple timeline there for 218 million. If you can build that fire magical team, if you have all of those characters there. And yep, a few more options at the bottom. No really new characters there. I suppose the Equus Lariel is the most recent character that was featured for this boss fight. So there we go, 242 million. With that must be, again, a more complicated timeline. Actually, the fire magical team there on top. If you can build this team, that looks like the best one. But otherwise, the wind physical team there with Nefinera on it looks like the best option. So let's jump in and take on the Demi Khalid with one of these teams and see how well I can do over in game. So here we are with another one. Second boss, Demi Khalid. Let's jump in then and see how we do against this boss. We're going to go with this team, which was the highest, I believe, automatic team we had going. And let's just get it running. We have to unset here the students. Owie. There were 2 characters in this team that we used, Wyvern, Nefinera and Wakana, so there is a little bit of an overlap, something to bear in mind when choosing which bosses to fight. You're going to need to be able to borrow some of these characters anyway to run both of these teams. And this is supposed to be getting 216 million full automatic. If you run the manual timeline, it can double up to 231. There is, of course, the magical fire team option, if that is more preferable to you, which is doing similar amounts of damage, maybe slightly more if you run the timeline. You can see here, 2 of the Fiories are in the fight. I've also got Transfer Student Aoi, so there's no fighting again between Ranger Shori and Transfer Student Aoi on who is the best. Yes, it was Arissa, 6-star Arissa then that got the boot for this clan battle against our Demi Khalid. Look at his moves. He's got his moves, hasn't he, that Demi Khalid? Right, so we're coming up to 10 seconds left to go. Can we get anywhere near the 200 and what was it? 216 million damage that we were supposed to be getting out of this team? 210, not too bad. 210 million, again, pretty close to the claimed max output that people have calculated. Look at him go into a robot dance. He's proud of himself, isn't he? Fury, obviously 6-star, doing most of the damage there. Not too bad. Okay, so time to move over then to number 3. So let's jump over to our third boss, and the rapper theme continues with C. Drake, who is weak to wind and light. So set and forget teams for the Drake. Looks like we have got a couple of mostly light magical teams here that are doing the most damage here. 214 million here. New Year's Saren, again featuring here. New Year's Hatsune with their unique equipment. We have got Kokoro and Ameth here, which are off element, but not doing too bad. And then a couple of anemone teams here, featuring on light magic with Dream Pat Maho or New Year's Saren. Astral Yui too with their unique equipment is also still featuring in here. So this, well, yeah, the top magical characters for light are all featuring in here with a couple of physical teams. Well, a physical team there, 200 million. And then a few other variations. Xmas EO, I suppose somebody wanted to try, and unfortunately she hasn't seen much use, has she, since her release. Xmas Yori or Kasumi tanking if you can't use Anemone or Princess Kokoro there. So simple timelines here for Drake. This Anemone Dream Pack Maho team, 222, it's jumped up to 240 million if you've got the New Year's Saren. That is the only difference there. And then a few other teams, 239, so that's not too far off as well. Looks like Anemone, if you're going to be using a timeline, is a little bit better than that Princess Kokoro team. So there we go, timeline summary for Drake. Where are we going? 245 million there. Yes, the Anemone team does look like it is a little bit better if you can run it with the timeline. If not, Princess Kokoro, with more or less the same lineup of characters. So let's jump over there and see how well we can do against Drake in game with one of these teams. Right, let's jump into Drake then and see how we can do. We're going to go in with this team, which is the best automatic team we've got there. It's a little bit finicky here. We've got Kokoro here at 3-star, we've got Lariel at 4-star. We're only setting Lariel. Let's let it run and see how it does. 214 million is what it's supposed to be able to get. There are a few other options though for full automatic teams using Anemone and either Dream Pack Maho or New Year Saren. Those two are interchangeable. Running it full auto, I think Dream Pack Maho is slightly the best option. On that team we have also got Astral Yui. Here we've just got the New Year's Hatsune. The feud between New Year's Hatsune and Astral Yui on who is going to be the best pink-haired girl in the light magical team. Well, if you run the other teams, they're both on this. They don't have to fight too much here. Hatsune gets the nod to be put on the team. So this is, like I said, probably the best. Actually, the best automatic team actually is the one that's got the Xmas EO in it. So if you've got Xmas EO, maybe you can finally get a little bit of a run with her against this boss and use her. But if you're going to go for a manual team, simple manual team, the Anemone team with Saren is probably better. There is a variation of that with Dream Pack Maho, which is maybe not quite as good. So just simple manual with the Anemone team, with Hatsune and with Yui in, so they don't have to fight too much. Is probably the best way to go. 213 million then from this full automatic team. Not too bad. Running the auto teams, the manual team, sorry, about 240 you might be aiming to get, so a little bit more than that. So there we go. Let's jump on then to boss number 4. So let's jump on to boss number 4 then, Sword Cobra. And I'm pretty sure you can link Cobra to a rapper some way or another. But for our purposes, Sword Cobra is weak to water and to dark. So let's look at some automatic teams then for the Cobra. And this dark is where we're going to start using some of our alpha characters. I mean, talking about it, we haven't seen Labarista used yet. I'm sure she features somewhere in here. Nenika Alpha with Warlock Jita on the same team here. Looks to be the highest damaging comp there, 191 million. Halloween Smoogie making a bit of a strange appearance. If you don't have Warlock Jita, you can always run Alpha Christina in her place, and it still looks like it does pretty good damage. If you don't have Halloween Smoogie, then put Kuka there as the tank. And then if you want to run a full, well, I say a full, more of a physical team than a magical team, you could just stick Alpha Nenika on it with Christina Medusa. These are a bit strange. What is going on here with this dark element? Anyway, simple timelines then for Cobra. This team here with Kuka tanking, Jita, Nenika, 210 million damage. It jumps up to a little bit less, but more actually a tiny bit more with Halloween Samugi tanking. So let's make it matter too much who you have as the tank for the team. And then a couple of more physical teams here. If you want to go with Grace and Shinobu, we don't have some of the newer characters. There are a couple of options down here as well. So let's have a look at the timeline summary. For the Cobra, 210 million there with Samugi tanking, and I guess we are seeing Warlock Jita being used with the Alpha Nenica. Same amount of damage again if you had Kuka 6-star tanking. Other than that, there are a few more options. There's a lot of options here on this dark team. So let's jump in then, see how we can do with one of these teams. Let's jump into Sword Cobra then, and we're going to go in with this team here. This is a bit of a strange fight. Halloween Samugi making a bit of an appearance. Probably a lot of new characters won't have Halloween Samugi. Just need to set these two characters there, Nenica and Tamare. Right, let's see how this team does. Halloween Samugi tanking is probably the better option for full automatic, but we can run Kuka instead, so everybody should have hair. The Warlock Jita that I'm borrowing here doesn't have her unique equipment on there, so air damage numbers are not going to be as high as it could be. 181 is what we're expecting from this. We're not going to get that because Jita doesn't have her unique equipment on here. Otherwise it would get a bit higher. 191 if you've got Halloween Samugi as the tank. If you can tank with Halloween Samugi like we saw, Christina could take Jita's place. But we don't have Halloween Samugi to run. There are a few timelines as well, which will also do a bit more damage. This team here can get up to 210 million damage if you run the timeline for it. There is, as we saw, a physical dark team with Yamato tanking and Grace in it. If you can borrow or have the Summer Shinobu. So where are we now? 6 seconds left to go. 181 million is what this team can do. If Warlock Jita had a unique equipment, I'm sure we would have got a lot closer to that than this. But 156 million with a slightly weakened Warlock Jita, maybe that's suggesting that we do need here as well as the Alpha Nenica, because their damage could have been a lot higher than that with their unique equipment on. So not too bad. Hopefully we can build a team there for Cobra. So let's jump over then to our last boss this month. Okay, so let's jump into the final boss we have this month, Torpedon, who is weak to light and dark. So simple set and forget teams for Torpedon. This is where the physical side of the dark team looks like it is taking the lead. Alpha Christina obviously there, Medusa, Grace, all very new releases into the game. If you manage to snag them all, perhaps you can run this team. If you don't have this Summer Shinobu, then we can always run Yamato as the tank in her place. Shinobu is there for Skull Daddy. If you want to go for a core of light magic here, 196 million, still good numbers, but remember, all the damage is up this month from previous months, and a few other variations of teams here. Here's Warlock Jita with Alpha Nenica again, more or less the same team that we was running before on the Cobra, just with Shinobu tanking it. Seriously, good options here for the dark physical teams here. A lot of characters on there, so hopefully you'll be able to build something else. 237 million. Is this the best team then? Yamato tanking with Makoto. Grace, 237. Yes, that is better than that one. That is better, right down there, added in at the last minute. So actually, that one looks like the best set and forget team down at the bottom. The simple timelines for the Torpedon. This team here, we did see up to 249 million. A few other options here. Where's that team? 189 for the magical variant. Is that team with Makoto? The team with Makoto isn't here, so maybe if you want to run a just full auto team on here, that Makoto team would be better. If not, then it does look like 256 million is the highest we have so far with Shinobu on the team. If you don't have Shinobu, then you can drop down to maybe 233 with the Yamato tanking. So let's jump in then to game and see how well we can do with a team against Torpedon. Okay, so here we are with our final boss, Torpedon. So let's jump in, and we're going to go in with this team here. Full set this one, no inputs needed whatsoever. 216 million damage is what is suggested that it can do. There is another team very similar. If you don't have Yamato, you could try Summer Shinobu in her place instead. I did try running that one. It was maybe not as safe. There was a little bit of problem with survivability there. So I think this, out of those two, is the safer two of the teams to run. There is a whale comp, as we saw, with 237 million for full auto. This one you're swapping out Medusa for Makoto, keeping Yamato as the tank. So that's this full whale team. However, if you're going to want to run some of the timelines on this, I think, like we saw, it is better to go with the Shinobu variation of this team for more damage. This team can jump up to 233 million if you run the timeline for it. You're getting up to 258 million though, with Shinobu in instead of Yamato on that team. But there we go. This is, again, like we say, a team with a lot of the most recent dark physical characters on them. Look, 4 out of the 5 are within, well, since Race. No, Yamato is the oldest one. So that was what, November? 4 out of the 5 since November. So maybe this is, for some people, maybe a slightly difficult team to run. Check the Warrior Chef stock. There are a few other team compositions potentially. If you can't build that, maybe you're going to have to fight a different boss. But obviously, Alpha Christina, they're doing most damage there. I take it is safe to leave it on full set on this. We're not cancelling her skill 2. So there we go. That was Clan Battle for February 2025. Let me know how you're doing on there. Good luck to everybody. Thank you very much for watching. I am Tokkuri Yashi, and I will see you all again for another video. Bye 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 bye. Yay!